If I told you that one of the most praised superfoods in the modern diet might be silently sabotaging parts of your health, would you believe me? Avocados, the creamy green symbol of wellness, have been elevated to near mythical status in the last decade. They're on toast, in smoothies, in salad dressings, even in desserts. And yes, they are loaded with healthy fats, micronutrients, and fiber. But here's the thing, the full story about avocados is more complicated than the headlines and Instagram posts suggest. When we talk about food and the brain-body connection, it's easy to slip into black and white thinking. Something is either a superfood or it's toxic, but biology isn't binary. Your metabolism, your hormones, your gut bacteria, they all interact with what you eat in ways that can be beneficial in some contexts, harmful in others. And avocados are a perfect example of a food that's both nutrient-dense and potentially problematic depending on how, when, and how much you eat them. Here's why this matters. Avocados are incredibly calorie-dense, about 240 calories for a medium fruit, and nearly all of it comes from fat. That fat is primarily monounsaturated, which has been linked to cardiovascular benefits in studies like the Pretium trial. But monounsaturated fats are not a free pass to eat unlimited quantities. Overconsuming them, especially when your overall diet is already high in fats, can tip your energy balance into surplus and disrupt your metabolic flexibility, the ability of your body to switch between burning carbohydrates and fats efficiently. Research from the University of Surrey suggests that chronic overconsumption of high-fat foods, even healthy fats, can impair insulin sensitivity over time. And that's just the metabolic side. There's also the issue of FODMAPs, fermentable carbohydrates that can trigger bloating, cramping, and digestive discomfort in people with irritable bowel syndrome or sensitive guts. Avocados contain sorbitol, a sugar alcohol that can create those effects in surprisingly small amounts for some individuals. Add to that the rising problem of avocado-driven environmental costs, water usage, deforestation, and heavy pesticide application in certain regions. And the perfect food image starts to look a lot less perfect. In this talk, we're going to break down 6 surprising truths about avocados, all grounded in solid research, so you can make informed decisions about how they fit into your diet and lifestyle. You'll learn why the timing of when you eat them matters for blood sugar control, how they may interfere with certain nutrient absorption, what overconsumption really does to your metabolism, and even how your gut bacteria might be reacting to them. By the end, you won't be left fearing avocados. You'll simply see them more clearly, with the science to back up when they help you and when they don't. And I'll give you a set of practical, actionable tools you can apply starting today to get the benefits without the hidden downsides. When people think about foods that can lead to weight gain, they usually picture processed snacks, sugary drinks, or fast food. Avocados almost never make the list. In fact, they're often put on a pedestal as a guilt-free food, something you can add to any meal without a second thought. But here's where the blind spot appears. Avocados are among the most calorie-dense plant foods you can eat. A single medium avocado comes in at roughly 240 calories and around 21 grams of fat. To put that in perspective, that's the same energy load as 2 scoops of premium ice cream, just without the sugar crash. Now, the fats in avocados are mostly monounsaturated, which have been linked to better cardiovascular health and reduced inflammation in studies like the Pretium trial out of Spain. That's great. But calorie density works the same way whether the calories come from healthy fats or not. Your body still has to process and store that energy. Here's the problem. Most people don't factor these calories into their day. Because avocados don't spike your blood sugar and they're marketed as healthy, it's easy to add them to meals that are already calorie-rich. A turkey sandwich with cheese, a smoothie that's already got nut butter, or eggs fried in oil. Those extra 200 to 300 calories can quietly push you into a surplus over the course of weeks and months. And when you consistently eat more energy than you burn, your body stores the excess, usually as fat. Now let's talk metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to switch between burning carbs and burning fats efficiently. This flexibility is critical for stable energy, good workout performance, and long-term metabolic health. Chronic overconsumption of fats, even good fats, can dull this flexibility. Research from the University of Surrey found that when people followed a high-fat diet for just a few weeks, their insulin sensitivity decreased, meaning their muscles became less efficient at pulling glucose from the blood. Over time, this can make it harder to use carbs for energy, leading to sluggishness after carb-heavy meals and more fat storage. The takeaway isn't don't eat avocados, it's respect the calorie density. If you're eating for fat loss, metabolic health, or simply to maintain your current weight, you need to treat avocados the way you would treat nuts or olive oil. Beneficial, but easy to overdo. Here's a simple tool to apply. Use the half avocado rule. If you normally eat a whole avocado in one sitting, try using half and saving the rest for another meal. This instantly cuts the calorie load without sacrificing the texture and flavor that make avocados so appealing. Another strategy is timing your avocado intake around meals where it can replace, not add to, another fat source. For example, instead of putting avocado and cheese on your sandwich, use avocado in place of the cheese. You'll still get the creaminess, but without doubling the calorie-dense ingredients. Also, be aware of hidden stacking. This is when multiple healthy fats sneak into the same meal: avocado, olive oil, nuts, fatty fish, each one individually good for you, but together creating a calorie bomb. The best way to prevent this is to do a quick mental check before eating: what's my main fat source in this meal? Then build the rest of the plate around that. The science is clear. Healthy fats like those in avocados are valuable, but the line between benefit and excess is thinner than most people think. Recognizing their calorie density and adjusting your portions accordingly isn't deprivation, it's precision. And precision is what allows you to enjoy the benefits without slipping into the subtle metabolic slowdown that comes from chronic overfueling. One of the most overlooked factors in nutrition isn't just what you eat, it's when you eat it in relation to other foods. Avocados, despite being low in sugar and rich in healthy fats, can influence how your body handles carbohydrates if you eat them in the wrong sequence. Here's why: when you consume fat before or at the same time as carbohydrates, that fat slows down gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves your stomach and enters your small intestine. At first glance, that might sound like a good thing. Slower digestion can lead to a steadier release of glucose into the bloodstream, which is why adding avocado to a meal can help prevent sharp spikes in blood sugar. But there's a flip side. Research from the University of Missouri and other metabolic labs shows that if you consistently load up on fats before carbohydrates, you can blunt the body's insulin response over time. Insulin isn't just about lowering blood sugar, it's also a key signal that tells your muscles to take in glucose for energy. When that signal is weakened, glucose can linger in your bloodstream longer than it should. This is particularly important if you're already on the edge of insulin resistance, which becomes more common as we age. Think about it this way: if you eat a breakfast of avocado and eggs, and then follow it immediately with something carbohydrate heavy like fruit or toast, your body's insulin signaling is dealing with a high-fat environment before it's even processing the carbs. Over time, this can reduce metabolic efficiency, making your body less adept at switching between fat burning and carb burning. A practical tool here is what I call carb-first sequencing in meals, where carbs are the main energy source. If you're eating a carb-heavy meal, start with some protein and fiber, then introduce fats later in the day. On the flip side, if you're having a lower carb meal, avocados can be front and center without issue. For example, if you're going for a post-workout meal that's focused on replenishing glycogen, maybe a chicken and rice bowl, keep fats low in that specific meal so your muscles can quickly absorb the glucose. Save the avocado for dinner, where your carb load will likely be lower, and the fats can play their role in satiety and nutrient absorption without interfering with your post-exercise recovery. Here's what the research shows. People who time their fat intake strategically tend to have better blood sugar stability, more consistent energy, and lower risk markers for metabolic syndrome. And the adjustment is incredibly simple. It's not about eating less avocado, it's about placing it where it serves you best. So next time you're planning your day, think about avocado not just as a healthy ingredient, but as a tool. When you place it in your meals intentionally, you keep your insulin sensitivity sharp, your energy steady, and your metabolism adaptable. If this kind of science-backed insight is helping you reframe how you look at food, make sure you're subscribed, because there's more where this came from. And each video is built to give you tools you can apply right away. Avocados have this image of being gentle on the body, creamy, smooth, and full of good fats. But for some people, they can be a surprisingly powerful trigger for digestive discomfort. The reason comes down to something called FODMAPs, short for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. That's a mouthful. But in plain English, these are types of carbohydrates that can ferment in the gut, producing gas and drawing water into the intestines. Avocados are high in one particular FODMAP, sorbitol. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol, a naturally occurring compound found in some fruits. And for people with sensitive guts, even small amounts can cause bloating, cramping, and an urgent need to find the nearest bathroom. This is especially relevant for anyone with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or similar conditions. Now, here's what's interesting. Sorbitol doesn't affect everyone the same way. If your gut microbiome is diverse and well-balanced, you may tolerate it just fine. But if your microbiome is compromised due to stress, illness, antibiotics, or a low-fiber diet, your ability to digest and absorb sorbitol efficiently drops. The undigested sorbitol then travels into your large intestine, where bacteria feast on it, producing gas and triggering that bloating you feel. A study from Monash University, which is considered the gold standard for FODMAP research, actually tested avocado tolerance. They found that a safe serving for most people with IBS was about 1/8 of an avocado. That's a far cry from the half or whole avocado you see in most Instagram-worthy meals. So, how do you know if avocados are your personal trigger? Here's a simple self-test tool. For 2 weeks, track your avocado intake alongside any digestive symptoms. If you notice bloating, cramps, or excessive gas within a few hours of eating avocado, especially when eaten raw and in larger amounts, you may be sensitive to sorbitol. You can then try cutting back to very small portions or pairing avocado with low FODMAP foods to see if symptoms improve. Another practical approach is cooking or mashing avocado into recipes with other fats, like blending a small amount into a soup or mixing it into a dressing. While heat doesn't reduce sorbitol, combining it with other ingredients can slow down how quickly it hits your gut, making it easier to tolerate. And here's a mindset shift. Digestive sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a feedback system. Your gut is giving you data about how it's functioning and what it can handle right now. Listening to that data, instead of forcing your body to tolerate something because it's healthy, is what allows you to eat in a way that actually supports your health rather than working against it. If you're one of the lucky ones who can eat a whole avocado without a problem, enjoy it. But if you've been wondering why your stomach feels off after your healthy breakfast bowl, avocados might be worth a closer look. One of the biggest selling points for avocados is that their healthy fats can help you absorb fat-soluble vitamins, things like vitamin A, D, E, and K. And that's true. Several studies, including one from Ohio State University, have shown that adding avocado to a meal rich in carotenoids such as tomatoes, carrots, or leafy greens can dramatically increase the absorption of those nutrients. But here's the part that almost no one talks about. Nutrient absorption is a balancing act. The same fats that improve uptake of fat-soluble vitamins can also compete with or reduce absorption of certain minerals, especially if those minerals require a different digestive environment to be absorbed efficiently. Take calcium, for example. Some research suggests that very high-fat meals can slow down stomach acid production, which indirectly affects how calcium and magnesium are absorbed. The fats essentially change the traffic flow in your digestive system, slowing the breakdown of food, which is great for sustained energy, but not always ideal for minerals that need a quick acidic environment to dissolve. Iron is another case. Non-heme iron, the form found in plant-based foods like beans, spinach, and fortified grains, is already harder for the body to absorb than the heme iron in meat. A very high-fat meal can make that process even less efficient. This is especially important for vegetarians or anyone who relies heavily on plant-based iron sources. If you're loading avocado onto an otherwise iron-rich plant meal, you might be reducing the net benefit without realizing it. A simple way to work around this is with nutrient pairing and timing. If you're eating a meal specifically to boost mineral intake, for example, a lentil and spinach salad for iron or yogurt for calcium, keep the fat content moderate and avoid adding a large portion of avocado to that same plate. Instead, have your avocado at a different meal that's focused on fat-soluble nutrients, like a salad with tomatoes, carrots, and olive oil. That way you're playing to avocado's strengths without creating competition in your gut. Another tool, think about nutrient rotation instead of nutrient stacking. Instead of piling every nutrient boosting strategy into one mega meal, spread them throughout the day. This not only supports better absorption, but also gives your digestive system a variety of environments to work with, sometimes higher fat, sometimes lower fat, sometimes higher acidity, sometimes lower. The big takeaway is this: avocados can be a powerful nutrient booster, but they're not a universal upgrade to every meal. Understanding the interactions between fats and minerals allows you to get the best of both worlds, maximized absorption of the nutrients you need when you need them. If this is giving you a new lens on how to think about food, make sure you're subscribed. Every week we break down science like this into tools you can actually use, because nutrition isn't about memorizing rules, it's about understanding how your body works and making choices that fit it. One of the reasons people fall in love with avocados is how satisfying they are. That creamy texture and rich fat content trigger satiety signals in the brain, mainly through hormones like leptin and cholecystokinin and CCK. When you eat fats, CCK tells your brain, we've got fuel, slow down the eating, and leptin, released from your fat cells, signals longer-term energy sufficiency. But here's the twist. Just like with many systems in the body, too much of a good thing can dull the signal. Consistently eating high-fat meals, even from healthy fats like avocados, can alter the sensitivity of leptin receptors in your hypothalamus. When those receptors get less responsive, your brain doesn't register satiety as effectively. You might still feel full in the short term after a big avocado-laden meal, but over weeks and months, you may notice you need more food to feel the same satisfaction. This isn't just theory. Research from Harvard and the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases has shown that chronic overconsumption of fat can contribute to leptin resistance, which is strongly linked to weight gain and difficulty regulating hunger. The body still produces leptin, but the brain essentially stops listening to it. There's also ghrelin, your hunger hormone. Ghrelin levels typically drop after eating, telling you it's time to stop. High-fat meals can suppress ghrelin effectively in the short term. But when fat intake is constantly high, ghrelin regulation can become inconsistent. This can lead to unpredictable hunger cues. You might feel ravenous at odd times or barely hungry when you actually need energy. The takeaway here isn't to fear fats or avocados. It's to cycle them intelligently. Here's a practical tool. Build hormone reset days into your week. On these days, keep fat intake moderate and increase lean protein and fibrous vegetables. This gives your appetite hormones a chance to recalibrate and helps maintain their sensitivity. If you're used to having avocado every day, try limiting it to 3 or 4 days a week and see how your hunger and satiety patterns respond. Another strategy is mindful portioning. Instead of slicing an entire avocado onto your lunch every time, pre-portion a third or half and pair it with a different fat source the next day, like nuts, seeds, or fatty fish. This variety keeps your hormones from adapting too strongly to one specific intake pattern. What's happening in your brain when you do this is a resensitization process. By occasionally lowering dietary fat, you allow leptin and ghrelin signaling to return to a more responsive baseline. Over time, this helps you trust your hunger cues more and avoid the subtle overconsumption that creeps up when those signals get dulled. The bottom line, avocados can help regulate appetite, but only if they're part of a balanced, varied fat intake. Treating them as a daily, unlimited staple can push your hormonal balance in the wrong direction. Using them strategically keeps both your metabolism and your hunger cues sharp. When we talk about the downsides of certain foods, the conversation usually stays in the realm of personal health, what it does to your body, your metabolism, your gut. But with avocados, there's another layer: the cost to the planet. On the surface, avocados seem like a clean, plant-based food. No industrial feedlots, no heavy processing. But their production, especially at the scale needed to meet global demand, carries a hidden environmental price tag. One of the biggest factors is water. It takes roughly 320 liters, that's over 80 gallons of water, to grow a single avocado. In regions like Michoacán, Mexico, where much of the world's supply comes from, that demand can put immense pressure on local water systems, especially during drought periods. And it's not just water. As avocado farming expands, forests are often cleared to make way for orchards. In some cases, this has contributed to deforestation in biodiversity-rich areas. That means habitats for species like monarch butterflies and native birds are disappearing. There have also been reports from investigative journalists linking avocado farming in certain regions to land disputes, exploitation of labor, and even involvement of organized crime, because the crop has become so valuable. Then there's the issue of pesticides. Avocado trees can require significant pesticide use to maintain yields, especially in large-scale monoculture systems. This can lead to runoff into rivers and soil degradation, impacting both the environment and the health of local farming communities. So what can you do if you still want the health benefits of avocados without fueling these problems? The solution isn't total avoidance. It's mindful sourcing. Look for avocados labeled fair trade or sourced from regions with lower environmental impact, such as California, where regulations on water use and pesticide application are stricter. Rotating your healthy fat sources also helps reduce demand pressure. Instead of eating avocados every day, alternate with other nutrient-rich fats like olives, walnuts, or chia seeds. A practical tool here is the seasonal switch. Enjoy avocados more frequently when they're in peak season locally, and scale back during off-season months when imports carry higher environmental and ethical costs. If you have access to farmers markets or co-ops, ask vendors about sourcing practices. Often smaller-scale farms use more sustainable methods. Here's the bigger point. Your health and the planet's health aren't separate. Every choice you make about what's on your plate has a ripple effect. By aligning your eating habits with both personal wellness and environmental responsibility, you're creating a feedback loop that supports long-term health in the truest sense, not just for you, but for the ecosystems we all depend on. At the end of the day, avocados aren't just a trendy food. They're a compact package of healthy fats, fiber, and micronutrients that support heart health, brain function, and stable energy. Eating them regularly can help lower bad cholesterol, keep you full longer, and provide essential antioxidants your body needs to fight inflammation. Whether you slice them over toast, blend them into a smoothie, or add them to a salad, the benefits are consistent. The key is moderation. One avocado a day, or even half, is enough to give you the advantages without overloading calories.